Hey guys, and welcome to week 4 of the P4G next generation. This week we're facing off against Frieslander and his Rotterdam Staraptors. Fries is actually Dutch as well, so that is pretty cool I guess. But only one Dutch guy can emerge victorious in this match, and hopefully that will be me. I might straight up lose though, because he's got a really scary team. So let's start off with his tier 1 pick, and that is Jirachi. Jirachi is a really good mon. It has base 100 stats all across the board, so it can be really versatile, can run a lot of different sets, offensive or defensive. Yeah, that is one big problem with Jirachi. I really don't know what kind of set he will bring against me. I could see him possibly bring a choice card Jirachi to outspeed Lopunny and put in some work against my team, trying to flinch me down with Iron Head and all that stuff because of its Serene Grace ability. But there's also the possibility that he's gonna run a defensive Jirachi instead. Most likely just to take moves from Latios better, and defensive Jirachi can also run Stealth Rock or Wish, so that is pretty annoying. But for his next mon, it's Dugtrio. Dugtrio is a really good mon because of Arena Trap, which traps all opposing Pokemon. In this league, Arena Trap is allowed, so yeah, Dugtrio is pretty much gonna do that if he brings it. Yeah, I really gotta watch out for Dugtrio, because Dugtrio can just trap my Empoleon or Bisharp and outspeed them and knock me out. It has pretty decent attack, so an Earthquake will hurt a lot. It is pretty frail though, so I can just knock it out possibly or do a lot of damage with priority moves, so that is nice. Yeah, Dugtrio is definitely a mon I gotta watch out for. But his next mon is Vaporeon. Vaporeon can be really hard to take down because of its great HP stat. Its defensive are kinda low, I'm pretty sure, but its HP makes up for that. It also gets Wish and Heal Bell, so it's most likely just gonna be run as a Cleric set. I could see him bring it though to maybe try to Scald Burn my Lopunny or Bisharp, but other than that it doesn't really do too much. It does kinda wall Gliscor though. But yeah, Vaporeon is definitely a mon I gotta watch out for. It also has the Water Absorb ability, so Scald from Empoleon won't hurt it. But yeah, there's nothing really else to say about Vaporeon other than the fact that it also has a pretty good Protect stat, so even without investment it can still hit pretty hard. The Rotom is kinda similar to Jirachi in that it can be run either offensive or defensive. If he's gonna run defensive, it's most likely just for Mega Lopunny and he will try to Will-O-Wisp me, or also kinda to handle Bisharp. But an offensive Rotom could also put in a lot of work against my team. I don't really have the best switches for that thing aside from Latios. And he could just Volt Switch on a lot of my team and HP Ice for a Gliscor, so that could be a big problem. So yeah, Rotom is definitely a mon I could see him bringing against me. It does have a reasonable good matchup. Next though is Gramble. Gramble is a mon I'm definitely gonna see him bringing, because it's basically his best switching for my Mega Lopunny. It resists Mega Lopunny's Fighting Step, and it also has the Intimidate ability, so my moves won't hit as hard as they otherwise would because of the attack drop. So yeah, Gramble's definitely coming for Mega Lopunny. It's a pretty decent mon. It gets a lot of good coverage moves like Earthquake and the Elemental Punches, so that's definitely something to keep in mind. I think it also gets Heal Bell, so that's pretty cool I guess. This next one is Garbodor. Garbodor is a pretty decent mon in my opinion. It's a more defensive mon, is often known for setting up hazards like Spikes and T-Spikes. Garbodor also gets the Aftermath ability, so that can be really annoying. I don't think he's gonna bring it though because I have Latios, but it could be a possibility to handle Mega Lopunny better. Next though is a mon he's definitely gonna bring, and is a mon I really prepped a lot for, and that is Naganadel. Naganadel is his ultra pick, and that thing is just a monster. If it sets up a nasty plot, it can pretty much sweep your team if your team is weakened or don't have any switches for that thing. So yeah, it's just really powerful. I haven't really got a lot of things that can handle that thing, so I really gotta watch out for it. It is pretty frail though, so having priority will be really nice. But yeah, Naganadel, as I said, can just sweep your team because of its Beast Boost ability. If it has a timid nature, it gets a speed boost, and well, with a nasty plot up, it will keep getting speed boost and outspeed your whole team, but it could also have the Modest nature, giving it a Protect boost after killing something, allowing it to hit even harder, maybe in combination with a Choice Scarf. So yeah, Naganadel is definitely a scary mon. It doesn't really have a lot of switches at all. Dragon and Poison type stab is just so good. And Naganadel also gets a lot of good coverage moves like Thunderbolt and Fire Blast, so it's definitely a mon I gotta watch out for. Another mon I gotta watch out for is Staraptor. Staraptor, I really don't have any switches for that thing. Choice Scarf or Choice Banded Staraptor just pretty much destroys my entire team. I don't have a good switching for it at all. So Staraptor is definitely a mon he's gonna bring because of its good matchup against my team. My only resists are Empoleon and Circuitry, but Circuitry just pretty much dies to a Brave Bird, I'm pretty sure. And Empoleon gets hit very hard by close combat, and if I'm running a Spadef Empoleon, which I am, it will still take a lot from Brave Bird. Yeah, Staraptor is really a scary mon. I really gotta watch out for that thing. I'm not sure how I'm gonna handle it, but I really hope we can play around it. And while we're talking about mons that can hit really hard, he also has Heracross. So Heracross is a really cool mon. It doesn't really have the best speed stat, but a really good attack stat. It also has a couple of different sets like Choice Scarf Moxie or Guts Flame Orb. So Heracross, he could bring it, I'm not entirely sure though, but it's definitely a mon I gotta prep for. Next up is Everluck. Everluck is a defensive ice type with Stealth Rock, Rapid Spin. I'm not entirely sure if he's gonna bring it, but it can take moves from my offensive mon pretty well depending on its spread. And then just recover up with Recover. I don't necessarily see it coming though, but it is a possibility. The last one he has is Quilladin, so with an Eviolite it's pretty bulky, not as bulky as, what's it called, its evolution, Chestnut, not as bulky as Chestnut of course, but still pretty good in my opinion. Spikes, Leech Seed, what's it called, Spiky Shield, I'm pretty sure the move is called, can be really annoying, so it can be annoying to take down, but I don't really see it coming. The Z Crystal is the Dragonium Z, so that's just for Naganadel. Z Draco pretty much destroys anything unless you're a Steel or Fairy type. But even then he still has lots of coverage for that, so Naganadel even more powerful with the Z Crystal. Definitely gotta watch out for that thing. So that was it for his team. Mons I think he's gonna bring are, well, definitely Jirachi. Ductrio is pretty solid against my team as well, I feel like. I think he's also gonna bring Vaporeon. Rotom Heat is definitely a mon I gotta see coming. Definitely Granbull as well. Naganadel. Staraptor. So yeah, a lot of things he could bring. I prepped for pretty much everything except the Quilladin really. I really don't see him bring Quilladin. But yeah, anyway, let's get to my team right now. So starting off we have Mega Lopunny because it outspeeds his whole team. With this speed investment we do outspeed Naganadel, his fastest mon, by 1 point. A max attack of course, and the remaining just an HP. So this Lopunny set isn't really too special. Return, Fake Out, High Jump Kick and Power Punch. Fake Out especially will be really helpful against Naganadel. Having some form of priority will be really nice, as well as against a possible Scarf Staraptor. But yeah, as I said, nothing too special about Mega Lopunny, but there is something special about our next mon, and that is Poseidon the Empoleon. We're bringing a specially defensive Empoleon this week, just for Naganadel really. Max HP, 132 in Spadef and 124 in speed. So we're bringing quite some speed investment, and that is because we're running agility this week. After setting up an agility at +2, we do outspeed Naganadel by a few points with this speed investment, so that is really nice. We also have the Shaka Berry, that way we can live an Earthquake from Ductrio and just revenge skill it, or not revenge skill it, but kill it with a Scald. Ice Beam is there for Naganadel as well as Staraptor, and I do have Stealth Rock on this Poseidon set because I really needed Stealth Rock in this match. It's really helpful against the Staraptor, the Rotom Heat, as well as wearing down the Naganadel. So Stealth Rock is really important, and Stealth Rock didn't really fit on any of my other mons, so decided to put it on Empoleon. One problem with this set though is that we can't touch Vaporeon at all, so that's kinda a problem, so we have to rely on our other mons to take care of that thing. So yeah, I'm hoping we can set up an agility and pretty much get rid of Naganadel and potentially Staraptor. If Staraptor's Choice Scarf though, he does outspeed me, but if he's not, that would be great. So that is it for Empoleon, but next up we're bringing Cobalt to Latios. Latios was actually originally Choice Scarfed in my first team I built for this match. But I decided that I really needed recovery, as Latios is pretty much my only reliable switch in for Rotom Heat. And if Rotom's offensive, then I really need this thing healthy. As for our moves, we're bringing Psychic because he really doesn't have any good switches for a Psychic type move. Aside from his Jirachi, that is his only Psychic resist. So Psychic could really put in some work if we get rid of the Jirachi. And for Jirachi we also have the Shadow Ball to hit that. As I said, we're bringing Roost because I need recovery against the Rotom Heat, and I feel like it's gonna be really useful. And also Tailwind, because Tailwind might actually come in clutch against the Naganadel or late game. Setting up a Tailwind allows our mons to outspeed pretty much his whole team and maybe allow us to win the match, so that could come in really clutch. After a Tailwind we are able to outspeed Scarf Naganadel, so that is also really nice. For item, I decided to bring the Psychium Z. I didn't really have an item I needed to run on it, and I decided a Psychium Z would be nice to potentially nuke something. As for our EVs, we're bringing max attack 228 with a timid nature in speed. That way we do outspeed a modest Naganadel. Yeah, we outspeed a modest Naganadel by 1 point with this EV spread. And just the remainder of our EVs in HP. Yeah, that was it for Latios. It's pretty important for this match, so I really hope it will put in some work again. But next up we're bringing Crisis the Cryogonal again this week. It put in quite some work last week, so I'm hoping it will again this week. This Crisis set though is a choice scarf set with Ice Beam, Freeze Dry, Ancient Power and Rapid Spin with just max attack and max speed. I'm bringing Choice Scarf Cryogonal this week because I really need something to outspeed Scarf Staraptor, and Crisis does that. So Ice Beam will be able to OHKO that thing as well as OHKO the Naganadel. Freeze Dry is there for the Vaporeon and Ancient Power is there to hit the Rotom Heat. I'm also bringing Rapid Spin since I didn't have a Hazard Remover on this team yet, so I'm thinking Cryogonal might be able to do that. Cryogonal is also another Earthquake immunity and it's able to handle Dugtrio pretty well as long as we don't take a Rock Slide or Stone Edge. So yeah, I'm really hoping Cryogonal will be able to put some pressure up against his team, especially against the Naganadel. Unless that thing is Choice Scarf, then he will outspeed me, but otherwise we will kill it, so that is really nice. My next mon is Bisharp. We're bringing Iron Head, Sucker Punch, Knockoff and Swords Dance. Bisharp can just really decimate his team. He doesn't really have good switch-ins against this thing, so I really needed to bring it. Sucker Punch is also really useful against the Naganadel. Just any form of priority is just really useful against his team. We are bringing Adamant Bisharp though, because I didn't really need to run Jolly. I feel like Adamant will allow us to hit even harder, so that's also nice. So we're bringing the Muscle Band this week as well. That way we power up our Iron Head and our knockoffs. I was going to run Dread Plate on it instead, but I decided I wanted Iron Head to hit harder. As with the Muscle Band, we are able to just OHKO Gramble with the Iron Head, so that is really nice. Muscle Band is also pretty much a guaranteed OHKO with Sucker Punch on the Dugtrio, unless that thing is Sash, so that is also nice. And after setting up an SD, we really can just put in some work against his team. Knockoff and Iron Head pretty much hits anything, so that is really nice. So now we get to my last mon, and that is Gliscor. Gliscor is pretty important in this match as it's pretty much my best switch-in for Staraptor, or well, my best defensive mon that can handle Staraptor. We're bringing just a standard HP EV spread, 60 in speed, so that way we do outspeed a non-speed investment Jirachi, so I think that is kinda useful, and just the remainder in defense allow us to take Brave Bird from Staraptor better and potentially Roost up against that thing and just allow that thing just to take more Brave Bird recoil. If Staraptor's Choice Banded though, then we won't be able to stall out that thing, so that might be a problem, but if he Scarf what I'm predicting, then that could put in some work, I guess. Earthquake is there, of course, as our main step to hit Naganadel and well, pretty much everything that isn't levitating. I also put U-turn on Gliscor. I feel like getting momentum with Gliscor can be really useful. I feel like his best switches for Gliscor are most likely the Rotom Heat or the Vaporeon, and that way we can predict those switches and allow us to gain momentum. Roost is there of course because we need recovery, but we'll also bring in Protect. Protect is really there just to scout for potential Z moves from Naganadel and allow us to recover more HP with Poison Heal. So yeah, I feel like Gliscor is pretty important in this match. It also handles Dugtrio and Heracross, and as well as non-Iceman's Jirachi, so that is something to be happy about, I guess. But anyway, this is it for my team builder, so let's get right to the match. Okay, so here we are with the battle. First I'd like to thank Blue Rogue for joining my team and recording this battle this week. A link to his channel is in the description down below. But now let's have a look at my opponent's team. He brought several things I did expect. The Naganadel, the Staraptor, Jirachi and Gramble, but he also brought some things like the Heracross and the Everluck that I didn't expect. Well, Heracross I did expect to some degree, but Everluck was definitely a surprise. He didn't bring the Dugtrio or the Rotom Heat, so that was kind of surprising as well. I really saw those two coming, but apparently not. So for my lead, I decided to lead Lopunny as I would be able to check the potential Naganadel lead and scare that thing out as I do outspeed it. So that's what I decided to do, as my opponent actually does end up leading with the Naganadel, so that is pretty great for me. I pretty much have to go for the safe fake out right here in case that thing is Scarfed. So that's what I decided to do, but he actually switches out into the Gramble, so that was kinda to be expected. I mean, Gramble was his best counter to my Mega Lopunny, so I Mega Evolve right here and just go for the fake out. But Fake Out isn't really gonna do anything. Return would have done more, but then again I couldn't have risked it against Naganadel. So in a minute I go for the Fake Out right here, and as you guys can see, because of the Intimidate, it absolutely does nothing. Gramble just eats it. I do reveal the leftover, so that's kinda good to know. But I can't stay in right here, so I have to switch out. I go into my Gliscor, it's my physical wall. In case he wants to throw off a, what's called play rough, I can take that. But he actually throws off the CC, so that was kinda surprising, possibly. Well, it hits the Bisharp and the Lopunny, so that was a good play, I guess. But I do take it with ease, I resist it. And now I am pretty free to go for the U-turn. Because he's probably gonna switch out into any of his mons. So that's what I decide to do. I go for the U-turn right here, as he does switch out and switches into the Avalok, I'm pretty sure. Gulava? Yeah, that's the Avalok. So I got a U-turn off, so that is really nice. I have some switch initiative right now. And the problem with Avalok though is that I didn't really expect it. I didn't bring Chandelure, so I don't really have a good mon to handle it. No one can Oko it, so I go into my Crisis. The Rocky Helmet did get revealed though as I went for U-turn, so that's something to keep in mind. But Cryogonal is in, I go for the Ancient Power, but he actually switches out into the Jirachi, so I probably should have predicted this, because Jirachi was a pretty safe play against Cryogonal, and now, since I'm Scarfed, I have to switch out, and I'm forced to switch out into the Empoleon, because Empoleon can pretty much take any of Jirachi's moves aside from the Thunder Punch, but he throws off the U-turn for some switch initiative, so that was really smart of him. This thing could be Scarfed though, because he packs U-turn, but I still don't really know. So now in comes the Heracross. So that isn't really a problem. I do have a safe switch into the Gliscor, but he actually now makes a really good double into the Naganadel. So that was a really nice play of him. I go into the Gliscor right here, but I pretty much have to switch out back into the Empoleon again, as a Draco Meteor will hurt a lot, and I need Scorpio healthy for the Staraptor and the Heracross. So I got some more Poison Heal, which is nice, but now I have to switch out again, as I said, back into the Empoleon. It's pretty much my only switching for Naganadel. And he actually goes for the HP Ice right here, yeah, so he did have HP Ice for Gliscor, so that was pretty good of him, I guess, but it does nothing to Empoleon. And now he switches out, I believe. Yeah, he does switch out into the Zayden Sky. I think that's a Jirachi. Yeah, that's the Jirachi. I am able to get off my rock, so because I was pretty much tired of him switching around, and I wanted to punish his switches. So Jirachi is in right now. I go for the Scald right here, try to fish for a burn, as he actually goes for the Wish, so that pretty much confirms he isn't Scarfed at all. I go for the Scald, as I said, hoping I will get the burn, which I do end up getting, so that is actually really nice, and it plays a huge role in this match. So Jirachi is pretty much crippled, its attacks won't hurt as much as they otherwise would. I go for the Agility right here, predicting a switch, but he actually goes for the Drain Punch, so that kinda sucks. I reveal Agility for pretty much nothing right here. Since he has Drain Punch, he has a way of hitting me, so that kinda sucks. He's able to stall me out because of the Drain Punch, and that means I'm pretty much forced to switch out right here. Scald won't do as much because he has Wish, so I have to switch out in a minute as I go into the Latios, I believe, because I don't really have anything to kill this Jirachi. I really should have brought Chandelure in this match. I really regretted not bringing it. So Latios is in. I made an aggressive switch into Latios to take the Drain Punch, since that was the most obvious play. And now I go for the Shadow Ball, because it's pretty much my only way to hit this Jirachi. I really need to get this Jirachi weakened somehow. So I go for the Shadow Ball, as he actually does switch out right here, so that kind of sucks for me. He actually switches into the Heracross to take my Shadow Ball. I should probably should have went for the Psychic, but then again, we would go for a Psychic on a Jirachi. So Shadow Ball is doing a solid amount to this Heracross, but now I do want to switch out because I want to scout for the Scarf. So I switch into my Gliscor to take any of his moves, and he stays in and goes for the Mega Horn. So this pretty much confirms to me that he is Scarf, otherwise he wouldn't have stayed in against the Latios. That could have just killed him with Psychic. So this thing is probably gonna switch out, so I go for the U-turn to get some switch initiative, but he actually goes for the double Mega Horn. So that isn't too bad, but it kinda sucks. Scorpio is now even lower HP, and I really need this thing healthy. I do get a U-turn off, so I am able to switch into my Lopunny right here. Even though he's Scarf, Lopunny is able to take his Mega Horn, and I can kill it with Return. So yeah, he's probably gonna switch out in his, into his Gramble right here to take my return, but having any amount of chip damage off against that thing is just really nice. He does in fact go into the Gramble, gets the Intimidate off, so return won't hit as hard, but I am able, to get some chip damage off against this thing, and that is really nice. But now I'm pretty much forced to switch out again and go back into the Gliscor, as Gliscor is able to take a play rough from this thing pretty well, and I can just roost up against this thing pretty safely, I feel like. So back into Gliscor I go, but here Freeze actually reveals that his Gramble carries Ice Punch, so that was really great prep of him, and Ice Punch is barely able to knock out my, my Gliscor, so luckily I did live, that was really fortunate. I am able to roost up against this thing because I lose my flying typing, so Ice Punch won't hit as hard anymore, so I go for the roost right here. As I said, I am able to take an Ice Punch, but here Gramble actually goes for the Taunt, so that is kinda bad because I can't go for roost anymore. So I pretty much have to switch out right here. I go for the U-turn, so do some chip damage I guess, and in case he wants to switch out I get the initiative. So that's what I decide to do. I press roost, U-turn. And now I do have to switch out. So this is actually a pretty bad play of on my part. I go into the Latios right here because I really thought the switch was too obvious, and I thought he would go for the close combat predicting my Bisharp, but he actually just goes for the Ice Punch. So I get my Latios really weakened for pretty much for no reason, no good reason at all. So that really sucked. I should have made a better play, and here, speaking of bad plays, I make another bad play. I really wanted to kill this Gramble as it just was just really annoying, so I decided to throw off my Z move right here, as my Z move would have been able to knock this thing out, but obviously he was going to switch out into the Jirachi. So I get my Z move off, but since it 4 times resisted, it just does nothing to his Jirachi. As you guys can see in a minute, he takes nothing from my Z move at all, so I waste my Z move right here. That really sucked. I could have used it well, much better against the Gramble, for example. So yeah, as you guys can see, it did absolutely nothing. Should have went for Shadow Ball or something. Now I'm pretty sure I go for the Roost. Since Jirachi is burnt, its attacks won't hurt me as much, so I am able to live any of his moves. So yeah, I go for the Roost. If he had T-Wave, that would be kinda bad, but as you guys can see, he just goes for the U-turn. And as I said, since he's burnt, it doesn't do a lot. He does have to switch initiative right now, and that means he just goes safely into his Naganadel and pretty much forced me out. So I'm pretty much forced out right now into my Empoleon, my only switch in, as I said. But it's getting weaker right now because it keeps taking attacks from this Naganadel. So that really sucked kind of. Things aren't really looking too good for me at the moment. He goes for the safe U-turn, so that was pretty nice of him. And now he pretty much has the switch initiative again. And goes back into the Jirachi, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Zayden Sky the Jirachi. Here I switch out because I don't want to take a Drain Punch, so I go into my Gliscor right here. If he wants to go for Drain Punch, I can take that with ease. So that's what I decided to do. I switch right out into my Scorpio the Gliscor. But he doesn't go for Drain Punch actually, but just goes for the Wish. So here I just go for the EQ, as I really want to try to kill this thing, but obviously he isn't going to stay in against my Gliscor and is gonna switch out. So that was probably another bad play. Should have went for the U-turn, but I did press EQ as he just goes into his Galava, the Avalok. And yeah, Earthquake isn't gonna do too much to his, and because of the Wish, he's gonna be all up to full again, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, that sucks. Gliscor is now in against the Avalok. Avalok is up to full again, so I have to switch out again. And I don't really have any good switch-ins for this thing. This Avalok is really posing to be a problem, so I U-turn out right here and just go into my Cryogonal. It's my best switch-in for this thing. And if he wants to go for the Ice Cold Crash or not Rapid Spin, Stealth Rock, I can Rapid Spin those away. So yeah, I go into my Cryogonal, but he actually makes a really good play. He throws off the superpower predicting this, and just look at how fast its HP bar drops. It just straight up dies. It straight up got destroyed by this Avalok. So I do lose my Cryogonal right here, and it's kinda bad because now I have nothing to outspeed Scarf Staraptor. I went into the Empoleon right here because of the attack drop. It can take a superpower, well, reasonably well. I wanted to go for the Skull to weaken this thing for Lopunny, and I may bluff the Flash Cannon, which I apparently do because he switches out into the Jirachi as I get off a Scald, so that is, well, really nice for me. Jirachi is now really low, and another Scald will kill this thing. Now I go for another Scald, try to kill it, but I probably should have went for the Agility and put in work, but I didn't know his last move yet. It could be Protect, and if he went for Wish on my Agility, he could go for Protect afterwards, and then this thing would be almost up to full again, and I really didn't want to risk that. I wanted this thing dead, so I did go for the Scald as he went for Drain Punch, so I could have done that, but then again it wasn't worth the risk. I did kill it with Scald, so finally Jirachi is gone, but now the Staraptor comes in, and I pretty much have no switching for this thing. I decide to sack my Empoleon right here since it's, well, too low for Naganadel. Staraptor throws off the Brave Bird right here, and he's actually able to kill me from this range, so that pretty much means he's either Banded or Adamant Scarf. But either way, Bisharp is able to take a Brave Bird, a Banded Brave Bird as well. So I go to the Bisharp right here as I really want to, well, knock out some of his mons. He goes for the Brave Bird, and as you guys can see, it does a lot. So that pretty much confirms that this thing is Banded. It brings me all the way down to 30, so yeah, this thing is definitely Banded 100%. I went for the SD right here as SD Bisharp will now really be able to put in some work against his team. I pretty much have to go for the Sucker Punch right here, and he switches out predicting that, so yeah, I was forced to go for Sucker Punch. I couldn't have risked my Bisharp right there. So yeah, in comes the, what is called, the Avalok. I went for Sucker Punch, but now I can just follow up with an Iron Head, since nothing on his team will take this. And yeah, Avalok just straight up dies from this Iron Head. I do get some Rocky Helmet damage, so that gets me very low, but I am able to live it, so that is really nice. Here actually makes a play back into this Staraptor again, so this pretty much converts. He goes for the quick attack right here, otherwise he wouldn't have gone back into this thing risking the sucker. So I switch out right here to preserve my Bisharp, because I still need it for the Gramble. And I go into my Gliscor as he does in fact go for the quick attack, so I got it right. Here I just go for the U-turn, try to kill this thing off. He just goes for another quick attack, doesn't do too much. And so yeah, I'm going for the U-turn to take this thing out, but he actually lives, so that was pretty crazy, but that isn't too bad. I can just go into my Lopunny right now and click Fake Out. There's no sense to preserve this Staraptor since it dies to rocks. So yeah, I go for the Fake Out. I am able to kill this Staraptor, so that is really nice. A major threat to the team is now gone. And now he only has his Gramble left, his Heracross, and what's it called, this Naganadel. And speaking of the Gramble, in comes it now. And I do still want to preserve my Lopunny, so I switch out right here into the Gliscor since I don't really need Gliscor anymore since Staraptor is gone. Gliscor is still useful against the Heracross though, but I do think my remaining mons can handle it. So I go for the Gliscor, hoping he will go for the Play Rough, but he does predict this switch and goes for the Ice Punch. So this time he is able to kill my Gliscor, and Gliscor goes down. But now I do have a free switch into Bisharp again, and Bisharp can put in some work again. So Bisharp is really proving to be a great asset to my team in this match. I just can go for the Iron Head right here, as it will kill this thing and will damage anything on his team. And yeah, Iron Head is finally able to kill this dog. That thing was so annoying. I do get the crit, I'm pretty sure it didn't matter. So yeah, Gramble's gone, and now Heracross comes in again. So in my opinion, my best play right here was to sack off Bisharp right here, which I decided to do. I wanted to see what he would lock himself into since he's Scarfed, and he goes for the close combat, and he's able to kill my Bisharp, but I was able to get off some Sucker Punch chip damage, so that was really nice. So yeah, he knocks me out with the close combat, and he gets the Moxie boost after this, so that is kinda scary. Moxie Heracross is nothing to laugh at, but this allows me to go into my Latios. From this range though, a Jolly Heracross at +1 actually has a small chance to KO me, and an Adamant Heracross has an even larger chance. So he goes for the CC, and as you guys can see, I am able to live it. I live on 5, so that was really crazy. And now I am able to set up my Tailwind, and that is actually really huge, because that pretty much means game, because he's not able to outspeed me with the Tailwind up. I am able to kill this thing with Psychic as well as the Naganadel, even if I even outspeed Scarf Naganadel, I mean. Freeze actually confirmed after the match that it did in fact have Scarf Naganadel. So yeah, Heracross went down as you guys saw, and now I can just go for the Psychic, kill his last mon, and that is the Naganadel. So that is what I do, I go for the Psychic, and yeah, Naganadel goes down as well. So yeah, that means we win the game. So GG to Frieslander, this was a really good game. Be sure to check out his channel, which is in the description down below, and be sure to watch his side of the match. So we managed to grab a 2-0 win against the Rotterdam Staraptors, which means we're now 4-0, so that is really crazy. I really didn't expect this, to be honest. But anyway though, thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!